Murderer, monster, the thing that goes bump in the night. Brutal villain, evil doer, bestowing living death in a single bite. A demonic prince of darkness who had once lived in the light. A scourge, a plague, vile vermin, a curse too dark to speak. A boogeyman who haunts the lands of innocents fast asleep. These are the dangers which prowl your streets, whose slaughter goodness demands, whose villainy when met shall undoubtedly let light cleanse those darkened lands. For they say it is just, a decreed moral must, to kill those who kill, to sate their bloodlust. And who are they who in this play the villain with which the hero must do away? The Virilaka, the Uparina, Upir and Vampire, all these names the undead claim as they embody man's worst fears. For you know as well as I the way these souls found unrest. In the silence of death they were born again to pay for these sins now confessed. Woe betide the man who would dare to stand against the Holy Church, and cursed is she who refuses to see social conformity's worth. Because that is what you want, is it not, to know how to avoid these fates you fear? You want to be told just what will unfold should you stray from rules unclear. It depends where you live, what death will forgive, and what death will refuse to embrace. But in all you will see, the blame lies with thee, with your need to destroy what you could not erase. The Virilakas were made in the depths of their graves when a man's life was judged to be sacrilege. So too are the others, Uparina, Upir, and Vampire brothers, cursed in death for their living mistakes. And that is the rub, the treacherous redub that your pious moral teachers extend, cursing man into monstrosity for failing to bend the knee in supplication and prayer without end. But what stone is this that you dare to throw when your own hands are red with sin? Would you curse her a beast, she who strayed from the priest and his holy righteousness? What of the boy, born to such fervent joy, only to perish before his baptism? Is he really meant to be the villain you decree? Or is he just a victim? What of the man who in sorrow did end his life filled with suffering and woe? Is he condemned to be a devil? Or is there a chance, given a second glance, you only cursed him to raise yourself up a level? It is easy in truth to not be monstrous if you're not as bad as those you fear. Humans may deceive, may kill, may reave, but it's the vampire alone whose death you cheer. And how, you must ask, do I know this so well? Because of all the villains, it is my story they tell. It is my story they use as a means to an end. Follow the norms, or just like their former friend, you too will become a creature of the night, a monster meant to be feared, because he did what was right. How else could I have saved them, saved the Wallachians from that scourge, and protected them from the Ottomans they feared? How else could I have upheld God's decree to beat back the Muslims to keep our lands holy? I donned the mask of impaler to hold back the invaders. I became a monster to stop their monstrous ends. And this is what you remember of my refusal to bow to those whose torture I knew firsthand. The bloody Vlad the Impaler, the monster, the sadist, but not once do you think to remember the man. I do not proclaim it is innocence I hold. I know there is no coming back from some acts, but I did not scorch earth, did not place bodies on pikes to be imprisoned as cowards claim lies as facts. Now I can see, as years have passed, I can see the legacy my actions have wrought. To be Stoker's devil, rich with cruelty and deceit, a godless creature who a hero should vanquish, even now I'm used to uphold the morality of the church whose support I fruitlessly sought. There is the wound which will never cease aching, that I have become the villain of their creating. I have become the standard against which men measure their lives, their acts. They may be bad, but Vlad's better at being the worst of them all, a plague, a curse, from grace I did fall. Despised by the very ones I sought to empower, that Holy Roman Empire's patsy, it is clear. And in truth, this is what all the others become. Virilakas, Uparinas, Upirs, Vampires, every last one condemned by your fears, condemned for being too different from you, withholding compassion in life. You take peaceful death from them too. For surely there is none more in need of love in the grave than those you condemned and whose hearts you did break. Who among you prays for the monsters you fear, And who among you extends mercy to those who still live? Or is judgment more comfortable for you to give? Whose hands remain clean as their choices uphold the very reason why these curses unfold? You think that these monsters were made because of their lives, but their undead existence was born of how you decide, how you choose who is right and wrong, and how you ensure your life remains blameless by judging your own against those who are different. In the end, at their end, you created this whole mess. Is that why you seek to destroy all of them? Why you call it just to murder when their murders you condemn? They may have behaved as animals do, killing to feed in attempts to survive, but is that the only reason it is they you despise? The monsters you made are made in your image, immortal reminders of your failing to understand that those who are different are still human. No wonder you claim they have no reflections, that they can't look upon themselves. It's all just your projection. I do not deny that my soul may be blackened by the choices I have made, by the acts I have done, but my motives were pure, my intentions honest, and that line in the sand between wrong and right is not easily seen in the midst of the fight. But if my footstep passed it, I was not alone. There were others for whose choices they should atone. The father who sold me, the empire who took me, those who invaded, those who betrayed, and those who capitalized on the choices I made. Who was the one who made the villain you know? Who made Vlad infamous, made Dracula a foe? Which of these are the true monsters among men? Who stands alongside me for you to condemn? If death can be found by those living dead, if somehow peace and mercy can be given instead, if one day heaven may open its gates and unravel the curses man has given as fates to those who refuse to comply, refuse to conform, and stay in line. If one day there is to be an end to this endless existence a monster must live, what will they face, condemnation or grace? Which will the heavenly hosts think to give? For a man like me, whose very worst deeds are man's first thoughts when my name passes their lips, what will they say? To go or to stay? Or will I even be given more judgment than this? Shall my fate stay the same, to be hated and blamed, to be the villain you know and the monster you made? Do I deserve any more than the immortal lore of a brutal killer, of the worst, too damned for salvation, a creature cursed? Is this to be my endless torment? Immortality and monstrosity? Will the world know my name, my acts buying me fame, at the cost of my soul's luminosity? Is the sum of a man found in his worst acts, in the moments he fights, no matter the costs, no matter the drawbacks? Does the reason hold any weight on the scale? Can a good man do evil lest evil prevail? But perhaps there is more. Can a man be more than piety's score? Could it be that mercy can be held by the hands that no longer answer to time's commands? Can this devil you know teach one lesson in death, give compassion long before a man takes his last breath? And for those who have passed, perhaps pity can be felt, for the curse that they live is one which you dealt. So remember this now and on each darkened night, that the fear you hold as you turn out the light could have been ended long before it began, had you extended kindness rather than judgment's hand. And maybe one day it will be that the villains you hate will no longer be cursed to an undead fate. And if you allow this monster to attempt to save you, for your humanity's sake, take care to remember what you already knew, that the boogeymen you fear were once men too.